All right, clap away, folks. Clap away. Wall Street did a damn good job in the quarter. Last day of the quarter, right? There it is. Ding, ding, ding. Market's going to end up 270 points higher or so. New York Stock Exchange. So you've got 290. I got 269 here. It's whatever. NASDAQ, a nice day up as well. New record high in the NASDAQ and the S&P as it was on Friday. Another new record high. Trump talked about it all week and weekend long. Here's a good one, though, folks. Gold, yes. Crypto up a little bit, 107,500 or so. You know, it approached 109,000 at one point. The good news there, you can pick it out. We've been talking about since we started. Can you pick it out? Yep. Oil down 55 cents a barrel, under $65 a barrel. I'm going to say it again, folks. I am doing everything in my power, talking to Bannon, talking to the folks who talk to Trump, to get him to please buy oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Joe Biden drained our SPR. It's supposed to hold 750 million gallons for emergency use. Biden drained it by 400 million barrels because prices were high. No emergency, just he sucked at being a president. And I'm asking Trump to buy it back. Not only that, bring the SPR up to 1 billion barrels at this low price. It's lower than Biden said it would ever get, and it never got is this low under the Biden 4 years. So buy the SPR, President Trump, but all in all, a very good day in the markets. All right, folks, my first guest is the man who's leading the charge to make America safer again every single day. Happy to announce Border Czar Tom Homan is back with us. Border Czar Homan, appreciate your time. Very hot day in Washington. This bill, tell the American people exactly how important it is on both sides of the aisle, frankly, political aisle, how important it is to get this big, beautiful bill passed, especially to Homeland Security.
Look, the big, beautiful bill is a must-have, right? I think it's a nonpartisan issue to have a secure border and to arrest significant public safety threats and national security threats that are running around this country. I said the other day we got 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions walking the street of this nation. We need more agents on the ground. We need more detention beds. We need more transportation. The big, beautiful bill does this. It should be a nonpartisan issue, removing public safety threats. I can't understand the debate on this, but every day we arrest criminal aliens across the country, makes this country safe again. I looked at the numbers this morning. ICE has already arrested over 200 Iranian nationals in this country that are a significant national security concern. For more money, we can do more. It should be a simple answer to this. So I'm asking every person out there, call your congressman, call your senator, call your congressman, and tell them they need to pass this bill. It'll make this country safe again, and we'll keep the promise to the American people that President Trump made to them to make this country safe again. We've got the most secure border in the history of this nation. You want to make that security permanent. You want to make sex permanent? We need money to build walls work. More money for technology within the existing wall so agents can talk to one another. We know when someone approaches a wall, digs under that wall. This big, beautiful bill is going to permanently seal the success we have on the border and let us arrest more public safety threats across this country every single day.
Let's talk about that success you're having on the border, folks. If you don't realize this, last month, that man right there, Tom Homan, along with the whole border security, Homeland Security, Donald Trump, et cetera, they let zero people, illegal criminals coming across the border into the country, as opposed to 67,000 a year ago. 67,000 let go inside the country, zero under that Border Czar right there last month. Tom, let's talk a little bit about this injunction, these injunctions that are continuing being slapped on, President Trump's ideas, your ideas, deport these illegals. Finally, the Supreme Court steps in and says, enough, activist judges, it's not going to happen any further. Do you think they've paved the way to continue the work you've done? Or are you going to get more activist judges trying to disrespect the Supreme Court?
Well, look, it was a great Supreme Court decision. I don't think game's over. I think you'll have activist judges try to stick their fingers in this every single day. I cannot believe we're at a point where a district court judge, and I say district court judge, will make a decision that affects the entire nation, put a nationwide injunction in place. It was a great win by the Supreme Court. I think we can move forward and be even more successful than we already are. But don't think for a minute that radical judges aren't going to try to get in the middle of our success. But I think we had the greatest president of my lifetime sitting in the White House. We're going to keep fighting every day again, to keep the promise to the American people, make this country safe again. So they want to keep bringing it, bring it. We'll take it on. But the men and women at ICE are going to be out in their full force today, tomorrow, and the next day. The radical judges aren't going to stop what we're doing. Again, every criminal public safety threat we arrest makes that community safer. Everybody should be in agreement with that, and we're going to continue doing that.
It's bizarre that anyone would disagree with that, and every time there's violent crime perpetrated by one of these illegals, every Democrat should be held to account for that. Tom, the question is, so the Supreme Court says no more of these nationwide injunctions by district court judges on birthright citizenship. Will that also spill into some of the other things that they try to do at the court level? Stop you, for example, from deporting these criminals to El Salvador, for example?
No, look, I think the battle continues, right? It's a great decision by the Supreme Court, but I don't think for a minute these radical judges are just going to go away. They're going to try to do what they can within the law and, frankly, outside the law and their interpretation of the law to try to slow us down. But thank God we got Pam Bondi as the Attorney General. Thank God we got Cass Patel. We got Kristi Noem. This president's got one hell of a team. And we're going to be fighting to do the right thing. We're not making it. Here's what people need to understand. ICE isn't making this up. We're enforcing the laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. We're enforcing laws as given to us by Congress and appropriated. They give us funding to enforce the law. And we're out looking for these illegal aliens. A vast majority of them already have final orders issued by a federal judge. They had to due process at great taxpayer expense. We're simply executing orders that were issued by a federal judge. So, if you think about it, we're enforcing laws enacted by Congress. We're enforcing removal orders issued by a federal judge. We're not making this up. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. If people have a problem with it, you go protest Congress. They're the ones who wrote the law. We're simply enforcing it. But again, we're not going to slow down. We'll be out there every day enforcing laws of this great country and making this country safe every day.
So tomorrow is a big event. I've seen this a while ago, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And it's really, in the last couple of weeks, blown up into quite an interesting concept. Governor DeSantis down here in Florida is opening Alligator Alcatraz right here in Florida. So what this is a detention center that will house, I believe, a couple thousand, if I'm not wrong, illegals. Interesting, in the middle of the Everglades, and that's really why they're calling it Alligator Alcatraz. Tell us about the genesis of this. I have a follow-up question on this after.
Well, look, we know Governor DeSantis, he's been in front of this the entire time. And soon after President Trump became the president for the second time, Governor DeSantis didn't hesitate to get legislation in the state of Florida. Every sheriff and chief of police in the state of Florida have no choice but to work with ICE. Governor DeSantis passed legislation doing that. He's also come to the table with this new facility that's going to give us a couple of thousand beds. And we're using funding that used to go to NGOs, put illegal aliens in a hotel room at $500 a night, and using some of this funding for this. The beds are a reasonable cost. They'll be up very soon, and they're in a place where most Americans aren't going to argue. And a lot of communities, they don't want a prison or a detention facility near them. Here's a great place. Governor DeSantis is leaning forward on this. We'll certainly fill those beds as quick as that facility opens up. We'll fill those beds, which, again, getting back to big, beautiful bills, why we need that bill to buy more beds. I think this morning I woke up, and I think we got 1,800 empty beds. We're going to fill them in 2 days. Now, we're going to do removal flights and move, empty some more beds up, but we're constantly playing catch-up. The big, beautiful bills give us more beds beyond a couple of thousand that Governor DeSantis is building right now. We need more on top of that. So, again, the more money we have for more detention beds and more officers and more contract personnel to do jobs that don't require a badge and gun, so we can put the badge and gun on the street rather than sitting in an office doing keystrokes and some administrative duty, we need that funding. So Governor DeSantis is coming to the table with this, but we need more beyond that. But God bless Governor DeSantis stepping up. I appreciate him for doing that.
It's amazing. And just to reiterate what you just said, it kind of flew under the radar there that you're using some of the funding for this. So some of the beds will come from the NGOs who used to get money from USAID or whomever to hide illegals and to support illegal immigration. You're going to take that money away from them and add it to stopping illegal immigration. Did I get that correct?
You got it correct, and here's a good thing. When they're in an ICE detention facility, contracted facility we control, they get a hearing within 40 days. But under the Biden administration, the NGO got put in a hotel in New York City at $500 a night. They get put on what we call the non-detained docket, which means their hearing is 3, 5, 7 years out, depending if they exhaust other appeals. And that's what the Democratic Party was doing. They're playing the long game. They figure they put them in these facilities and have their hearings 3, 5, 7 years out, then maybe a Democratic administration comes back in the future, then they give amnesty to millions of people. We're not playing that game. We're playing the short, long game too. But what we're doing is putting people in our facilities that get a hearing within 40 days. 90% will lose their case. They simply don't qualify for asylum. We put them on an airplane and send them home. That sends a message to the whole world. There's a right way and wrong way to come to this country. If you cross the border illegally, you're not going to be released. You're going to be detained. You're going to be deported. We're the most giving nation in the entire world. We welcome more refugees than any other nation in the world, and we'll continue doing that. But we're also going to be a nation of laws. Our border is no longer open. You won't be released in this country. You'll be detained and removed. 0 releases.
Amen. Amen. Very quickly, Tom, because I know you got to go. Just talk to us a little bit about the contrast between blue states and red states. As you point out, in Florida, DeSantis is turning Alligator Alcatraz, an abandoned airstrip, into a ICE detention facility. In New York City, where I believe you're headed very soon, you have a socialist, almost a Marxist actually, who's right now the leading contender to be next mayor of New York City. The juxtaposition of those two positions, specifically on immigration, is stunning, jarring.
Well, look, sanctuary jurisdictions are sanctuary for criminals. Hard stop. They don't give us access to the jail, but we can safely take into custody an illegal alien who's been arrested for a violent offense. Think about it for a moment. We want access to jail to talk to the person they locked in a jail cell. That's who we want to talk to. They don't allow that. They release them in the community. They knowingly release a public safety threat back in the community to reoffend. It's unsafe for the agent to seek that person out in the community. It's unsafe for the alien. It's certainly unsafe for the public, the public sector, the community. So here's what sanctuary cities are going to get. They're going to get exactly what they don't want: more agents in the community and more worksite enforcement. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a jail, then we'll go to community and find him. We'll go to worksite and find him. President Trump's already said it a couple weeks ago. We're going to double down on sanctuary cities. We're going to focus and prioritize sanctuary cities. That's the right thing to do. We know we have a problem with sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats in the community. We don't have that issue in Florida. So we can use less resources in Florida and more resources in places like New York. That's exactly what the president has committed to do, and that's what we're doing.
Great, great. The mandate the American people gave all of you folks. Very quickly, Tom, before we let you go, your life has probably dramatically changed over the last 5 months. How are you handling it? How are you handling I'm not going to say celebrity, just you become a household name, for example.
Well, look, I think all the credit goes to President Trump, not me. I mean, President Trump's a game changer. He came in and passed executive orders that were game changers. Remain in Mexico, 3 safe country agreements, ending catch and release. I want to give it credit to the men and women wearing that badge and gun. We're at 2 o'clock this morning, you and I sleeping in bed, and there's a border agent standing on a dirt trail someplace securing our border against, national security threats. There's ICE officers out at 3 o'clock this morning doing surveillance on a significant public safety threat they want to locate and arrest. So I don't take any of the credit. I give the credit to men and women wearing the badge. God bless the men and women of the Border Patrol, and God bless the men and women of the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And God bless the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump, because he's letting the Border Patrol and ICE do the job they took an oath to enforce. We finally got a country back. We're going to enforce some laws to make this country safe. So I give thanks to all of those folks. I'm just happy to be part of the team that's doing it.
Well, an integral part of the team, and that is really the American people. Thank you, thank the president. And again, we rode along with some of your ICE agents and others. Those folks go home to their husbands and wives and kids and dogs too. Sometimes people don't realize how we have to protect them as well.
Yeah, what you just said, let's put stomp on that. People need to understand all the tax on ICE and border places. They're mom and dads too. They have children too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day they go to work. For God's sakes, these aren't the enemy. These are American patriots who put their lives on the line every day for this nation. If you see one, thank one. They're the greatest 1% this country has.
We're going to leave it at that. Tom Homan, appreciate your time, sir. Stay safe.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks. Tom Homan. Awesome. Awesome man. Borders are right there. Keep things real. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. All right, my next guest is a national security analyst expert, really. She's an absolute expert, chairwoman of actforamerica.org, and a New York Times bestselling author of Rise in Defense of Judeo-Christian Values and Freedom. Let's welcome Bridget Gabriel. Awesome to have you back, Bridget Gabriel. It's been a while. It's been a while. Really good. So get us up to speed on what's going on in the Middle East from your perspective. And let's bring in some things that maybe we're not talking about. We've been talking about the obvious stuff, the bomb, et cetera. Israel stands down, yada, yada. What do you see? Is there anything that's popping in your mind that's concerning you?
Look, we are seeing a total transformation of the Middle East, and it's a great thing to see. Who would have thought just 1 year ago, Hezbollah will be completely paralyzed, Hamas is paralyzed, Iran will be on its own to the point where China and Russia and North Korea would not come to its aid when it is attacked. Not even the Houthis, the proxy armies that Iran prepared are basically nothing. They could not do a thing when Israel and America attacked Iran. It is an amazing thing to see. And I just heard yesterday that Lebanon and Syria now are considering joining the Abraham Accord, which will be a phenomenal news to transform the Middle East. I think that what transpired in the last 6 months, and certainly in the last 12 weeks, is going to change the landscape of the Middle East and usher in a new era, a more peaceful era, a more prosperous era under President Trump. Iran is, I do not want to say it's no longer a threat, but the threat is so minimized, it is truly irrelevant in the near future.
You know, I'm looking at this new study that was just put out. I think the folks over at Media Research Center put it out, and they said that there was a poll, and this poll voted President Trump as the most anti-Semitic president of the last 5 presidents. And I'm thinking, are you really kidding me? I mean, he just dropped the bomb basically to save Israel and certainly to save a lot of other people around the world. But I mean, what is this nonsense coming from that Trump is some sort of anti-Semite?
Look, it's nonsense. They're trying to throw at President Trump everything they can. He's an anti-Semite. He doesn't care about the people. He wants to drag everybody, the whole world into World War III. Look, if President Trump took a baby from a shark's mouth that was drowning and being attacked by a shark, the left is going to say President Trump is starving the shark, the fish at the sea. It doesn't matter what he does. They're going to attack him. And this whole anti-Semitic thing is such a total nonsense. President Trump, of all people, has proven how he stands on the right side and on the side of Israel. When he decided to move the embassy to Jerusalem, remember, every other president promised to move the American embassy to Jerusalem. Not one president had the backbone to do so except for President Trump. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem time and time again. Look what Israel has been going through war, for the last year and a half. And under the Biden administration, not only we did not stand with Israel, we actually were building a bridge to send trucks of food to Hamas using American tax dollars to help the enemies of Israel, not the Israelis. As soon as President Trump came into power, he started helping Israel. He knew that he needed to help the only democratic, civilized nation in the Middle East against a terror regime that was not just against Israel. Because remember, the enemies of Israel are the enemies of the United States. Those who are trying to take out Israel or attack Israelis or kill Israelis are the same people who hate America, want to attack Americans, want to kill Americans, want to carry terrorist attacks within America and against American installation and interests worldwide. So we have a common enemy. President Trump is standing in defense of the state of Israel, in defense of the Jewish people in the United States. Look what he did with the universities, defunding them. Any university that is anti-Semitic had their governmental funding pulled away. That's a president who stands with the Jewish people. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. His actions speak louder than his words.
You know, Bridget, bring it to New York now for a minute now. This is a national show, and no one really likes New York around here, especially me. I spent 30 years there, and I'm done with that godforsaken place. It just blows my mind to think that this guy, Zofran Mamdani, a socialist, maybe even a Marxist, has now won the Democrat primary for the final election in November. What is New York thinking? I mean, didn't they learn their lesson over, look at what's going on in New York and in LA and in all the, Democrat-run cities, sanctuary cities that where they give stuff away. It's not working. The people don't want that, and yet they may elect a socialist or Marxist mayor.
You know what's shocking to me is who would have thought we go from 9/11 2001, where we said we will never forget, remember, everybody, never forget. New York forgot so fast that they elected a man who does not believe Hamas is a terrorist organization, who started his activism in the Student for Justice for Palestine on university campuses, who would stand with the enemies against the United States, with them, who wants to globalize the Intifada, put everything else, the taxes, the this, that, the other, which is terrible that he wants to turn New York into a socialist hub. But the fact that the man does not recognize the terrorist threat to the city of New York and the center of commerce of the United States, the symbol of the pinnacle of the Judeo-Christian Western civilization, New York City, that he doesn't recognize the threat to New York, that should scare everyone in New York. Unfortunately, the young Americans and the elites who voted for him, who lived the elite hoity-toities who voted for him because he's very chic and he's very articulate and he's great on social media. It reminds me of the same talking points they used when they voted for Obama. Oh, he's so classy, he's so chic, he's so sophisticated, he speaks so well. And that's why they voted for him. And as a result, we end up with a nuclear Iran that we had to take care of. So now they are voting for him, and that's the scary part because they're shooting themselves in the foot. They are destroying the city, and it's going to have ramification nationwide.
People are fleeing.
Through the real election.
People are fleeing. He wants to raise the tax rate to like almost 20% for just city alone. 20% just for the city. He's a nut job. And he also said he was going to arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he stepped foot in New York City. And by the way, the
minimum wage to $30.
The UN General Assembly is in New York. I mean, are you kidding me, Mom Donnie? I'm sorry about that, man. What the country is that city is like California. We could just give them. They don't want to be part of the United States. Fine. Let's get rid of you guys, both of you. Brigitte, really good to have you. We'll get you back again very, very soon. This is not going away anytime soon, but good to get you back in the mix, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Great being with you.
So it's difficult to overrate the kind of week, well, maybe the kind of 10 days it's been for the MAGA world. Even CNN wants in on all our winning.
President flexing his political muscle there after what may be empirically the best week of his presidency so far, a sweeping Supreme Court victory, expanding his powers, the Dow at a record high, ceasefires between Israel and Iran and in Rwanda. And now President Trump is focusing on his allies on Capitol Hill, where he hopes for another win.
Spoiler alert to Friday's Jake Tapper. The president did indeed notch yet another win this weekend with the Senate passing his big, beautiful bill onto Votorama. And by the way, new record highs for both the NASDAQ and the S&P today, Monday. Jakey, are you tired of the winning, though, folks? Of course not. We're not. But as always, never forget, where there's a MAGA win, there's always a swampy, dirty Democrat eager to use the law or to break the law to stop the MAGA progress. There hasn't been such winning for 10 days straight for a single president that we've ever witnessed, both domestically and internationally. If you're a Trump supporter, this is the greatest moment to be alive. A ceasefire between Iran and Israel after the nuclear facilities are obliterated. The Supreme Court ends the judicial coup by limiting nationwide injunctions for those activist judges around the country. President Trump secures 5% of GDP defense spending from every NATO country, amounting to billions. dare I say, hundreds of billions of dollars in case someone's keeping count. Another war ended with the president helping to mediate a peace deal between Rwanda and the Congo that's been going on forever. Hundreds of thousands of people have died in that conflict. The Trump administration gets permission from the Supreme Court to send illegals to third-party countries. Goodbye, Maryland man. If I ended the list there, it would be amazing enough, but we're not even close. The S&P 500, NASDAQ hit record highs Friday and then again today. The Senate's attempt to rein in the president through a war powers resolution fails, flopped. Trump victory yet again. A China trade deal materializing. More and more food giants join the growing list of companies removing artificial dyes and colorings in their food products. That's MAGA in action, folks. Some of the biggest food companies in the world, too. RFK Jr. is just churning it out in the background, making Americans healthier as promised. And Chelsea just can't handle it.
Nothing matters, right? Facts don't matter to him. And certainly public health doesn't seem to matter to him. They're trying to retrench on like food safety and food inspection, most notably on dairy products.
Quick, someone check how much Chelsea gets right into her pocket from big food companies, specifically dairy products. It seems to me like the Clinton progeny is panicked now that her USAID handouts have been squeezed. Sorry, baby Clinton. No more government handouts for you. Oh, and you thought we were done with the MAGA wins just in the last 10 days? Not even close. Social Security handouts saw the largest monthly decline ever after attempts to end waste, fraud, and abuse. Hello, Elon Musk and Doge. Oh, and speaking of the young Doge prodigy Big Balls, well, he's back in government. The product of this unforgettable, magical moment.
Now, the disruptor in chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls.
You just can't pay enough to hear Dana Bass say Big Balls on air. Oh, you thought we were done winning? Not yet. Now, General Electric Appliances, the division that builds appliances, is moving their manufacturing, get this, from China to Kentucky, right here in America. The Pentagon has started reinstating service members who were wrongfully discharged for refusing to get that vaccine jab. Remember that, the COVID one? And the DEI president, University of Virginia, resigned after pressure from the Trump administration. It's a good time to be MAGA. That goes without saying. And then the big, beautiful bill, well, makes its way through the Senate. J.D. Vance showed up to be the tying vote, but didn't even need to be after convincing certain Republicans to change their votes to a yes. Only two holdouts, Rand and Tom Tillis. And Tillis says he's not going to run again. And there might be even more wins this week. A ceasefire between Israel and Gaza, maybe. Saw some bombs flying from Israel to Gaza today, but we'll see. For another win to launch this week, looks like Canada has caved on tariffs, another win there. But never forget, Democrats have dedicated their existence, their very existence, to stopping Trump by any means necessary. They deployed every single asset in an attempt to smear, obstruct, remove, eliminate Trump, well, from bringing world peace. They don't want it, I guess. There's no recovering from what they're doing, and yet they're continuing with it, full steam ahead. They're extinct or dying, but they don't even know it yet. Dems have already shown us over and over again that they don't give a rat's ass about the Supreme Court. They're swampy, and you can count on them finding yet another way around it, just like Joe Biden used to do, and take their word for it.
There are still many open pathways to block President Trump's illegal and unconstitutional birthright citizenship order.
Still many open pathways to block. I mean, give it up, lady. Is that Tammy Duckworth, I think, or Mazie Hirono, one of the two senators? This is what they need. This is all they have left. They need to replace Americans with illegals who will vote for them. That's all they've got left. Ironically, the key to their success is the failure of the United States. Again, not going to say it any other way. The key to our success, the success of the party, but most importantly of the country, is to deport. Our quality of life, our economy, our elections, everything depends on American sovereignty. If we want more wins, you got to deport. It's as simple as that. You want your car insurance to decrease? Deport these illegals. You want cheaper housing, better medical care, less spending and lower deficits, cleaner, safer cities, fair elections? Deport, 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 deport. Very quickly, before we hit the break, got a podcast. There it is. Hit the subscribe along the bottom, any one of those. It's always free. You can see this show. You can see an interview with Tom Homan. You want to see that one again, hit subscribe and get it anytime, anywhere. Also, we've been doing voicemails, folks. We love these voicemails. Toll free. There's the number right there. Toll free, 888-601-032. Give us a call. Talk about anything you want. And you'll see later on in the show, you talk about a lot of things. We'll be hitting some of those towards the end of the show. We'll be back 2.5 minutes. Alrighty, folks. Senator Amy Klobuchar, Minnesota, delivered a counter-argument to Trump's big, beautiful bill. Of course, the bill passed anyway, but not before Klobuchar begged her peers to understand that this big bill doesn't make life in America better for illegal invaders. Thankfully, the bill caters to the needs of working Americans and those who are here lawfully. But listen to Klobuchar's case and notice how she uses the word people instead of Americans.
What does this bill do? It kicks 16 million people off their health care. 16 million people off their health care. In order to finance tax cuts for the wealthiest, in order to give multimillionaires a $400,000 tax cut, that doesn't make the world a better place. Adding $4 trillion in debt, $1 trillion of it is interest, which is going to make mortgage rates go up. It's going to make harder for young people to be able to maybe get their first house or pay their rent. It's putting it on their backs. It's putting it on their shoulders. That's why I don't see this as a big, beautiful bill. I see this as a big, beautiful betrayal of the hardworking people of this country.
First of all, Senator, it doesn't kick 60 million people off health care. It doesn't kick 60 million American citizens off health care. It kicks the illegals off. And they're supposed to be on your health care dime anyway. And as for interest rates going up, Trump is trying to get interest rates down to 1%. He's begging Jerome Powell to bring interest rates down so that we can thrive, keep more of our own money, and we don't pay nearly $900 billion to service our own debt. It's not take a rocket scientist to realize, lower the interest rate, America is much, much healthier financially. But she's a senator, so she gets her time. Hakeem Jeffries is still whining about Trump's very successful and almost universally appreciated Operation Midnight Hammer. He's mad because Trump didn't do what Obama did and ship Iran pallets with tens of billions of dollars from taxpayers. Listen.
We also need the case to be made by the administration to the American people as to how to best accomplish the objective of preventing Iran from becoming nuclear capable. Why did they abandon the aggressive diplomacy that was successful under the Obama administration?
Gee, I don't know, because it didn't work in the Obama administration. It didn't work in the Biden administration. They developed more weapons. They attacked Israel. I mean, really, Hakeem? You're upset because when Trump called, the administration called you, you didn't answer the phone. Chuck Schumer answered the phone. He knew the bombing was coming, but you're whining about not being, you were called. Pick up the phone when the president calls. Genius. Hakeem Jeffries went on to lie about the Democrats wanting everything to be affordable for Americans. We know that's not true. Democrats currently only care about providing for, illegals. They certainly give them the welcome mat, don't they? And smearing Trump's name, by the way, not to mention the Democrats had 4 whole years to make things in America cheaper for working people. But they didn't. Biden, Kamala, Jeffries, and all of the other power-hungry Democrats used their 4 years of power to raise prices in America by nearly 20%. It's not me. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics that said under Biden, prices for everything went up nearly 20% at one point. Anyway, listen to Hakeem Jeffries' latest baseless lie.
This country is far too expensive for working class Americans, for middle class Americans, for all those who aspire to be part of the middle class. Imagine a country where every single hardworking American taxpayer can afford to live the good life, work hard, play by the rules, have a good paying job, good health care, be able to afford a home, educate your children, go on vacation every now and then, and one day retire with grace and dignity. The good life, the American dream. that is not accessible to everyone. And so I think it will continue to be important for all of us on the Democratic side to address relentlessly the issue of the lack of affordability in this country. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they're going up. In fact, the guy is crashing the economy in real time, imposing these reckless Trump tariffs that are going to increase costs by thousands of dollars a year, and he may even drive us toward a recession.
You know, this is why you need to hate. All right, I shouldn't say hate. It's not a nice word. That's why you need to distrust every single politician on the planet, especially Democrats. That man was sitting there spewing some nonsense about prices going up under Trump. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? When Joe Biden took over for Trump, when Trump was ending his first administration, the inflation was 1.4%. 1.4%. Joe Biden drove it up nationally to 9.9%. 5 times, 500% higher. And then as the administration was winding down, Trump is bringing it back. We just had a 2.7% inflation rate. Are you out of your freaking, what is wrong with you? How can you stand there and say under Trump prices are going up? They're not. I'll give you a good example. Oil. The entirety of Joe Biden's presidency, oil was $79 a barrel, average for the whole 4 years. That was it. Trump, $53 a barrel this time, first time. Now, I don't know, 65 right now. That means gas prices are substantially lower. We'll get into why gas prices aren't going down faster, but it certainly isn't Trump's fault. That's other reasons. But please don't stand there and tell us that prices are going up under Trump, because they are absolutely not. And he could stand there and say that with a straight face and keep his mouth shut for 4 years under Biden when they were jacked up the whole time. Democrats aren't even trying to blindside the American people with lies about their empty promises anymore. They're attacking Trump in any way they can, whether that means blatantly insulting Trump or lying about his progress. Democrats like Senator Chris Murphy, one of the worst, or one of his constituents emailed us last week, said, stupid Chris Murphy, simply refused to acknowledge any progress made by this administration. Listen to Chris Murphy.
You know, border crossings are at a record low. Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that? And are you, when you look at those figures, do you think things are moving in the right direction, at least in that regard, Senator?
No, I don't give them credit for that, because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day.
For anything. Don't you dare give Donald Trump credit for anything. The lower crime rate, the lower inflation rate, the secure border, solving conflicts around the world, going to NATO and getting every NATO nation to commit to 5%, tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars for the security of the whole world. No, don't give him any credit at all, Chris Murphy, because the last guy, your guy, wow, he was awesome, wasn't he? All right, I'm a little worked up. We'll go to break and we'll come back 2.5 minutes with some voicemails. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I went to break because my wife texted me. She watches every show, and she said, your head's going to burst. Your forehead's going to burst or something. So I had to go to break and calm down a little bit. You know what? You never disappoint. You're leaving us fantastic voicemails. Let's get right to them. Mad Dog, what do we got, brother?
Yes, sir.
What's the first one?
We have Lisa from Florida, and she has something to say about freeloaders.
Let's do it.
Hey, Eric. Lisa from Cocoa, Florida. Love your show, and I love Rav. Anywho, maybe you should look into the freeloaders in our country, the baby mama people, the ones that get welfare and sit on their ass and get fat, while those of us paid into the system have to watch them. It's disgusting. Young grifters. I'm tired of freeloaders being more important than hardworking taxpayers who pay into the system. It's disgusting, it's disgraceful, and it needs to be addressed. We'd have a lot more people working and a lot more families. It's disgusting. Please address it. Anyway, have a blessed day. Thanks.
She's right. She's right. There are too many people who are grifting, and that's really what DOGE is going to do. It's going to pull people off who are stealing off our system. They're not supposed to be collecting unemployment, Social Security, et cetera. And that's what Trump is doing. It's one of the many wins he's putting up, and yet the left just can't. Great voicemail. Meta, what's next?
We got a little aloha from Hawaii.
Let's do it.
Hey, you guys. Hi. Winona Lee from Honolulu, Hawaii. You guys are doing an awesome job, and I love my President Trump. He is our leader, a great leader. Make America great again. Aloha.
Aloha. Do you do this, right, in Hawaii? Rob Sig, do we do this in Hawaii? Yeah, we do that in Hawaii. They do that in Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, but I've never been to Obama's birthplace either, if you know what I'm saying. All right, Mad Dog, what do you got next?
We have Sam from Louisiana, and he talks about they're struggling.
Do it.
Eric, I'm Sam McNabb. I'm from Louisiana, and I want to tell you, I love President Trump. I love your show. I'm going to tell you, us on Social Security, I've worked hard all my life, paid top end for Social Security. Hey, we're suffering, brother. They give us $2,000 a month on our Social Security. By the time they get through with insurance, it's $1,600 a month. If we don't work, man, we're suffering, brother. We're suffering. Please spread the word. One's on Social Security. We're not trying to ask for nothing for free. We just want what's ours. You know, we're tired. We're tired, brother. We really are. And we need to take back our country from these Democrats. They're killing us. We're suffering because of it. We want to see them go to jail for what they've done us over the years of treason, stealing all the money. Brother, I tell you, I don't know what to say anymore. We love y'all, okay? Bye-bye.
Awesome comment. I'm sorry you're suffering. Yeah, we are struggling. Americans are struggling. In fact, MTG said that in the big, beautiful bill, she's hoping that there's a provision as a tax credit for folks on Social Security. So it will still be taxed, but you'll have a tax credit coming in. Hope that passes as well. Listen, we get it. I think Trump understands it as well. The longer you can keep a Democrat away from the checkbook in Congress, the better. Mad Dog, next.
This is April from Wisconsin, and she's wondering if the Congress and Senate work for us.
Let's do it.
My name's April. I live in Wisconsin, and I'd like to know if the Congress and the Senate work for us, the American people, then how come they're allowed to vote themselves in their raises when we can't vote our raises in with our employers? You know,
this is a really important concept. Like, where is it? How come they get to decide what they get paid? And also, how much time they get off. Do you realize part of the reason that this July 4th deadline is probably going to happen with the big, beautiful bill is so these clowns can take literally almost 4 weeks off in the next 8 weeks, maybe even longer. It might be 5 weeks of the next 8 weeks, and they'll be gone for the summer, and they'll go back to whatever. They'll go back to district. But they get paid a ton of money, and they don't work a heck of a lot of hours. Not at all. Mad Dog, is it almost time for the one I like, the quarter?
Not just yet. We have
do the quarter now. Let's do it.
You want to do the quarter? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Eric. This is Alex in Florida. And this is something to mention. The quarters, the U.S. quarters, the Washington quarters, used to face, Washington faced, "In God We Trust." Biden or maybe Obama got them facing the other direction. Is there anything that Trump can do about that?
This is a really interesting concept, right? So the gentleman says that the U.S. quarter, for the existence of the quarter the president faced, "In God We Trust." So take a look. We went to Snopes, no less, which is a very left-leaning site that fact-checks conservatives all the time. And sure enough, look at that. Up until 2021 minting, Washington faced "In God We Trust," right there, right? But look what happened in 2022. And Snopes agrees that for the history of it, it was facing "In God We Trust," the president. And in 2022, under Joe Biden, someone decided to flip it so that the Washington's face is away from "In God We Trust." I mean, if that's not a metaphor for everything this godless party is all about, and that godless president, Obama, it's the reason they're out, and thank God they are out. All right, folks, been great. We've got some interesting things tomorrow. I might be, we'll talk about it later. We'll see you tomorrow. Bannon and Warren up next.